Good morning and welcome to Ireland AM. It is Thursday, the 3rd of November.
Yes, it certainly is. Now, we've got lots in store from motives to memoirs and Twitter takeovers.
Yeah, I love the way you're like, it certainly is November the 3rd. It is. Now, you will have seen this in the news. Maternity hospitals are experiencing critical staff shortages. Nurses are leaving the country. They are quitting. They're just going, I can't take this anymore. We're going to be discussing this with a director of midwifery and nursing. We'd love to hear from you if you are a nurse yourself, if you work in the health sector. 0896 111 111.
Yeah, get in touch with us now. He's still the richest man in the world despite spending $44 billion to take over Twitter. We chat all things Elon Musk and his ongoing social media struggles. That's coming up at about 8:15.
20 quid to be on Twitter, yeah. Later on, we're also going to be speaking to Tracey Corbett Lynch, who tragically lost her brother Jason in America. She's going to be talking to us about her brand new memoir, Loss and Living, in just a little while.
And our motoring expert, Geraldine Herbert, is outside. Geraldine, you're going to help us get winter ready?
Yeah, absolutely. The clocks have gone back, so more of us are going to find ourselves driving in the dark. So I have some tips to stay safe during the winter months, and I'll be telling you what's special about this car.
Nice.
That's
a nice car.
It's like a car that Elon Musk would drive,
it
isn't it?
We've put on all the lights now
Yeah.
for a little while, yeah, make it a bit
Pure
fancier.
sexy.
Now, Derek is in Ireland's tidiest town this morning. Where are you, Derek?
Yes, Al. Trim, County Meath, Ireland's tidiest town in terms of weather. We have a bit of a shaky one out there today, a mixture of hail, thunder and a couple of sparks of lightning as well. But we don't mind that because we're in celebratory mode down here in the Royal County, and we're going to be meeting some of the volunteers who make it all happen here on the ground. But lads, look at that for a view. Doesn't that look absolutely spectacular? Trim Castle in County Meath, up the Royal County.
There we go. It looks gorgeous there.
Beautiful shot from Joan there. Absolutely gorgeous. We will be talking to Derek in just a little while, but right now, let's go over to the Virgin Media News Hub and say hello to the first time today to Rob O'Hanrahan.
Thanks, Maureen. Good morning. Business group IBEC has downgraded its economic outlook for next year on the back of rising costs and a weaker outlook for the global economy. IBEC now expects domestic demand in Ireland to grow by 3% next year, having previously forecast the amount spent on goods and services in 2023 would grow by close to 4%. The group says high rates of inflation, rising interest rates and the uncertainty of the energy markets are presenting challenges for the international economy. It adds that while it expects Ireland will avoid recession, households and businesses will still feel the slowdown from many major trading partners. US President Joe Biden has warned that American democracy is at risk as midterm elections approach in the country. It's now less than a week until the first federal elections in the United States since the Capitol Hill riots on January 6, 2021. Biden made the remarks in a speech in which he called on Americans to use their vote and to protect democracy. The speech comes days after a man seeking to kidnap House Speaker Nancy Pelosi severely injured her husband, Paul, in their San Francisco home, and as physical threats have rattled members of Congress and election workers.
As I stand here today, there are candidates running for every level of office in America, for governor, Congress, Attorney General, Secretary of State, who won't commit. They will not commit to accepting the results of elections that they're running in. This is a path to chaos in America. It's unprecedented. It's unlawful. And it's un-American. We know democracy is at risk. But we also know this. It's within our power, each and every one of us, to preserve our democracy. And I believe we will.
North Korea has fired an intercontinental ballistic missile above its eastern waters, prompting Japan to issue warnings to the public to take shelter in 3 northern regions. It's the latest in a series of missile tests from North Korea, which prompted its neighbour South Korea to launch its own series of air-to-surface missiles on Wednesday. The US, South Korea and Japan all condemned the launch of the ICBM, as well as 2 other short-range ballistic missile launches. The missile did not cross over Japan, despite initial expectations that it would, which prompted the public alert. Gardaí investigating the death of a man in Monaghan say he suffered a head injury. The body of the man in his 20s, who was of African origin and an asylum seeker, was found at the M Hotel in Carrickmacross at around 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning when Gardaí responded to a call from a member of the public. Gardaí are appealing to anyone with information to contact them. As energy costs continue to soar, new research shows that 2/3 of people have made at least one improvement to their home to improve its energy efficiency. The research carried out by Amorok as part of a new paper by BPFI on sustainable finance shows that more than 1/3 of consumers are also planning to make at least one energy efficiency home improvement in the next 3 years. Reducing energy costs is the main motive, with only 8% of people citing environmental reasons for making a change. The Ethiopian government and Tigray authorities have signed a peace deal. The sides agreed to a permanent cessation of hostilities in a 2-year conflict believed to have killed hundreds of thousands in Africa's second most populous country. Millions of people have also been displaced, with many now near famine. Ireland's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney, said he warmly welcomed the move and that it marked an important step towards peace and reconciliation in Ethiopia. Tear gas fired by police was the main cause of a deadly stampede at a football stadium in Indonesia last month, a report into the tragedy has found. Indonesia's Human Rights Commission said the majority of the 135 deaths that occurred at the match on October 1st were caused by asphyxiation, and also highlighted excessive force by police officers. 6 people now, including police officers, are facing criminal charges. And finally, for now, Mexicans have been taking part in a traditional Day of the Dead celebrations over the past few days. It follows 2 years of the festivities being curtailed due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
One of Mexico's most colourful holidays. The Day of the Dead combines Catholic observances of All Souls Day with pre-Hispanic customs of offering flowers and food, or even cigars and tequila to souls said to return for a day. In Mexico City, families gathered at this small cemetery to visit the graves of their loved ones and share memories of the departed with their families. One local farmer brings his guitar to the cemetery every year and plays the music his late father enjoyed.
We, as his family and children, don't forget our father and keep his advice and teachings alive. And we come here to keep him company, even if he's now dead.
This year's Day of the Dead celebrations have been the largest since 2019, following 2 years of COVID restrictions. The holiday begins on October 31st to remember those who died in accidents, continuing on November 1st to mark those who died in childhood, and then those who died as adults on November 2nd. Helen Gleeson, Virgin Media News.
For car insurance, van insurance or home insurance, call the Quote Devil. Unless, of course, you've got money to burn.
Thank you very much, Marie. We're coming to you live here from Trim in County Meath, the tidiest town in the country. And coming up over the next few while, we're going to be catching up with some of the local volunteers on the ground that make it all happen. So that's all to come right across the morning. Anyway, let's take an opening look at weather together now with Joe McKenna on cameras. And I have to say, a bit of a chilly start out there this morning. And we are seeing showers hitting parts of Galway, Clare into Limerick, Cork and Kerry. In fact, Manorhamilton in County Leitrim not escaping either. But elsewhere, a much more improved start following all that wind and in fact all that rain we had out there yesterday in that variable airflow. Now, right across the day, once again, conditions will slide, and in fact we're going to see a mixture of some heavy rain, thundery conditions with in fact a touch of hail and some sparks of lightning as we crisscross our way through your day, holding driest and brightest across the northern half of the island, especially into parts of Ulster. You're getting the best of those November rays out there today. Top values again on the cooler side, back to around 11 to 14 degrees. Finally then tonight it'll all settle down, and in fact we're going to see a much more improved night on the cards. It will be dry and quite a chilly night in store as well in that variable airflow, with values back to about freezing to 5 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in Trim in County Meath at the moment. Get nice and cosy out there this morning. We'll catch you later on at 7:35.
For first-time drivers, young drivers, returning drivers, if you've had an open claim or have had too many penalty points.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline: temperatures in Europe rise at more than twice the global average. European temperatures are rising faster than the rest of the planet. The European region has seen temperatures rise of 0.5 degrees Celsius on average each decade since 1991. That's according to the United Nations.
Incredible. And the Examiner leads with that same story. Europe's weather extremes set to become a regular event.
The front page of the Irish Independent. Airbnb clampdown delayed as raft of housing targets missed. A promised clampdown on Airbnbs and other short-term lets is among a wide range of key housing targets that have been missed under the government's multi-billion euro housing plan.
The Herald goes with couple quizzed over baby's horror injuries. A man and a woman have been quizzed over an alleged assault on a 9-week-old baby girl who suffered serious head injuries at her home in Louth.
The Mirror's front page. Leo, I'm not going to hell. Tánaiste Leo Varadkar has insisted he isn't going to hell after a priest claimed gay people will be damned if they do not repent.
The Star also leads with that story. Leo, I'm not going to hell for being gay.
Oh my God, 2022. And The Sun leads with the same. Leo Fury at hell rant priest.
There we go.
2022. Are you okay?
I'm
reading
grand.
all that?
Yeah.
Are you going to do you want to state as well that you're not going to hell?
No, there
for
we
other
go.
reasons.
For other reasons.
For other
reasons.
reasons.
I might go for other reasons, not for being gay.
No, I think it's totally fine. Live and let live. Now, coming up next, 2 maternity hospitals in Munster have more than 100 unfilled staffing positions alone. We will be discussing the critical shortage of staff in maternity hospitals across the country.
Now, we want you to have your say, so send in your comments to us about this topic or others throughout the morning. You can WhatsApp us 089 611 111, and we'll be back after this short break. Now, Ireland's maternity hospitals are currently experiencing a critical shortage of staff, with many quitting due to the cost of living crisis.
One hospital, the maternity hospital in Limerick, they had to close a ward over safety fears because they didn't have enough staff. Here to discuss the midwife shortage with us is the Director of Midwifery at the National Maternity Hospital in Dublin. Mary Brosnan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really do appreciate this. What's going on? Why is there such a huge staff shortage in maternity hospitals?
I suppose it's a combination of we've gone through the pandemic. A lot of people have the option of going abroad. There is an opportunity to travel, which hasn't been there for a couple of years, so that's a pent-up demand. And I suppose the other thing is people are just finding it really, really hard to stay in city centre locations. So hospitals are short to a varying degree around the country, but I think in Dublin and some of the other cities, it's particularly acute. And it's because people are having to find somewhere more local to live, because it's a really, really difficult commute into the city. Some people are travelling an hour and a half into the city for a 12-hour shift and driving home again for a day or a night shift. And that is not unusual. I have midwives travelling from Portlaoise. One has just recently resigned. She's been coming from Newry for the last 6 years. Yeah.
So driving down from Newry every day.
Loves her job, loves midwifery, but just could not.
And is that simply because she could not get accommodation?
No, in fairness to that particular midwife, her family were in the north and she wanted to work with us. But
the increasing prices of petrol and different things like that.
That commute for her was untenable. But I suppose for what I'm particularly seeing is the younger graduates who've done a year or two in Dublin or in a city hospital and decide that they can find somewhere more local to them to live and save. And because people want to buy a house at some point, after 4 or 5 years of renting and paying 10, 11, or 1,000, 1,200 in rent for one person, it's a significant chunk of their salary. And in some cases, it's 50% of their salary.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of factors at play here.
Now, there's a huge amount. Like, if we look at Tipperary University Hospital, the maternity unit has over a third of posts are permanently vacant because they cannot fill them in Tipperary. For you, in the National Maternity Hospital, normally 35 people leave each year, but you're at 63 so far this year, with 22 leaving to go to different places in the country because they can't afford to live.
Yeah.
So 63 midwives just said, I'm out of here, I'm gone.
There's a combination. 11 of them retired, which would be normal. And normally you would see, because we're a teaching hospital and we expect turnover, because we train people to move and to staff the smaller hospitals in the country, or indeed to go to other roles, whether it's fertility clinics or GP practices. So we're not on you. It's on turnover would be good and it's normal. But the level we're seeing, a lot of it, what we're hearing from the younger midwives, is related to the fact that they find it so difficult to pay so much in rent in the city.
And I mean, so people are leaving, you're saying Australia is very attractive to them and they have the chance now to travel. Are we getting anybody from abroad coming in?
We are. There is good news. I mean, we are recruiting from some countries in Europe. We have a few German midwives. We're trying to recruit from Slovenia at the moment. We're interviewing a midwife from Croatia. So there are small numbers coming in, and we do recruit from India. It's a very regular place where we go to recruit. But I suppose what we're trying to do is look at our own local supply and ensure that the courses that we're running in UCD and all the other universities are filled and are attractive and are then supplying our workforce for our current, for producing midwives, enough midwives locally in Ireland.
Because it is such a shame that, you know, the midwife courses are to such a high level that it's like, oh, I'm off though, see you later, I'm not staying in the country that I want to stay in for an awful lot of people. Now, we're going to be talking in when we're discussing the newspapers about Airbnb and that crisis, that the government haven't tackled that. Because obviously there are an awful lot of places that people could live, but they are Airbnbs, or the rent is, like I was looking yesterday, rent for a 2-bedroom apartment was 3,500 in Dublin. In Dublin, but like a little bit out of Dublin. So I'm sorry, but there's no way a nurse is ever going to be able to pay that. Or you've got nurses like, you know, some nurses, there could be 6 of them in a blooming house. Is this a thing that's talked about on the wards?
It is really. And I mean, I suppose I listened to some of the midwives telling us what they're paying, and it's very significant. I spoke to a midwife yesterday. She's paying $1,500 with her boyfriend for a studio apartment. I mean, it's really, really... And I mean, we're not unique. There's a lot of other people in the same boat. We're looking, I hear teachers and guards, I hear junior doctors, they're all saying the same thing. So I suppose what we're looking to be part of a solution and try and see, is there anything that we can do as healthcare providers to support our staff to find places to live that's... People don't necessarily expect to live within walking distance of the National Maternity Hospital, but they want to live within a commutable distance. And I don't think it's reasonable to say an hour and a half into the city is a commute that people would face for long. They might do it to gain experience, but they're not going to stay.
And how are you feeling at the National Maternity Hospital at the moment? Is everything functioning okay?
Yeah, it is.
Are there going to be ward... Do you see any ward closures or anything having to close because of the lack of midwives?
I hope not. I mean, what we're trying to do, we constantly ask midwives to work in different locations, which is very much around flexibility, and people do that. Sometimes we're asking people to work overtime at times. Sometimes we're asking people to change their shifts at very short notice. So the midwives in general, and the nurses in theatre and all the other places are extremely flexible. And for that reason, we are fine. We're managing. But what I'm looking at is the trend, and we're always trying to future-proof and forward plan and look at workforce planning. And if this trend continues, I just fear that we will be in a worse situation next year.
Yeah, like having to close a ward like they did in the maternity hospital in Limerick.
And I suppose maternity can't wait. You know, women don't plan their day.
They're having the baby.
They're having their baby. You expect to be looked after on the day you want to have your baby. And we do that. And we do that very safely. And I'm really proud of the service we provide. And that's why we're all there. We know it's a meaningful job. It's really, really rewarding. I suppose I've done it for more than 30 years in this role, in this job myself as a midwife, and there isn't another job I would like to do. And I talked to other colleagues who are pretty much in the same boat. But what I want to do is keep the younger midwives as inspired to stay.
So what would you ask the government to do then? Like, I mean, we're hearing about the problems with the housing at the moment, stuff like that. If you had a government minister here, if you had Dara sitting here in front of you and said, the housing minister, what do you want from him?
I suppose what I've always looked for is the London waiting equivalent for Dublin. Now, I know there's arguments for that. People saying, well, that'll affect every public sector worker in the country. I don't think that's true anymore, because a lot of public sector workers can work remotely. Frontline workers can't.
What's the London waiting?
So London waiting is an additional salary allowance for people who live within a perimeter of London. Now, it's always been an unpopular discussion in Ireland, because you wonder, where does Dublin begin and end, and how many people would be eligible? But I think it's time to look creatively at that, and allowance for people who have to be for their full working life in the workplace. They can't work remotely. That may be teachers, but it certainly is nurses and midwives. And the other thing I think we really would ask is that some of those developments that are being built, some of those apartment complexes could be provided for affordable housing for frontline workers.
That the government are giving money to for developers in order for them to be made.
Specifically for frontline workers.
Not for free, but I think for an affordable rate, that people have some tenure, security for a year or two, that they can know where they're going to be living and working, that they can manage to live within a, as I say, within a commutable distance from a hospital.
I don't think that that's out of the realms of possibility, or that it should be, and certainly we'll be discussing the Airbnb issue very shortly. And very quickly, because we're facing into, COVID it hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day about flu, and they're thinking it's going to be a pretty bad strain. How are nurses doing? Like the burnout rate, the constant pressure of everything that's going on, is that affecting people?
To be honest, it's fairly significant. We talked to, again, I talked to all my colleagues around the country who are in the same boat. I think it's been a really tough 2 years, 3 years almost. I suppose we're not formally measuring burnout, thankfully, because people are very resilient and they do cope. And, one good day at work, again, cancels out an awful lot of the negativity that you feel sometimes when you're going in and out. But I suppose what we're really seeing is that COVID is slightly different in that if you're off sick with COVID, it's not just 1 day or 2, it's 7 days. So the impact on rosters can be significant. So there's no point in denying it. There has been some level of burnout and people are tired. And I suppose what we want to try and fix it's not an easy fix, accommodation, but I suppose the reason I'm highlighting it again is that this is one area that I think could be addressed for the longer term planning for our hospitals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say we're really encouraging people to get the flu vaccine because it is going to be a difficult flu year.
It's great to hear it from people who are on the front line to ask people to do that.
COVID booster and flu vaccine, I think it's really, really good public health message to have people have.
Because you're the ones who are on the front line and have to deal with it and to protect you and to be able to do your job.
Patients themselves, and families.
Oh, listen, we hope that people really do hear that. Mary Brosnan, Director of Midwifery and Nursing at the National Maternity Hospital in Dublin. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And we would love to hear from you. 0896 111 111.
Now, still to come from a bird flu outbreak that could affect our Christmas dinners. Yet no turkey. To study finding many Irish motorists are terrible drivers.
He doesn't know how to plug in his electric car.
Papers, I know.
Plus the emergency kit every driver should have heading into the winter months. We'll talk to you very shortly. Welcome back. Now, a promised clampdown on Airbnb rentals has been delayed by a further 5 months, despite the fact that homeless figures have hit a record high. We have got to the figure of 11,000 people.
Yeah, now, and from this to fears of a bird flu outbreak, Irish Times journalist Aideen Finnegan joins us now to discuss this morning's papers. Good morning to Aideen. Good morning. So we mightn't have turkeys for Christmas.
Well, it's not a very worrying for turkey farmers around the country, yes. So this new strain of bird flu is very infectious. It has already killed, and there's also been massive culls across Europe already. And the fear is now that it might take hold in Ireland because there's been a lot of reports or discoveries of wild birds that have been found to have it. One of them being in Cavan, and Cavan and Monaghan is considered kind of the poultry heartland of Ireland. If Tommy was here now, he'd be, very proud.
He knows all about it.
The ducks, the Silver Hill ducks in Monaghan. So so there's an order now to keep flocks indoors to help prevent the spread of the flu. There's also, because we have had such a wet season, because the ground is boggy and marshy, it has sent the birds closer to commercial farms, which kind of increases the risk of the transmission. And so now this is the big fear for, I suppose, poultry farmers.
So from Monday, they all have to stay indoors. But the thing is then, it's not happening up north, which is causing concerns.
Yes, and usually that they would kind of be in step with each other because, birds don't really care about borders.
No, they don't really.
Maybe we should have them doing our negotiations for us. Anyway, they will... it's not clear on what the steps will be taken, if they're just slower at it or whether they... I mean, we remember with COVID restrictions, they were different because they were different jurisdictions.
But also they're in the middle of political turmoil. They don't have a sitting government in Stormont to actually make the decision. So everything is being coming from London. Everything has kind of gone a little mad. So they're concentrating on other things, and we're like, lads, this is serious.
Really big deal. Yeah. Exactly. So, so the advice is just don't touch, because you can still transmit the virus by touching dead birds, coming into contact with their droppings. That's how it can spread. Yeah. Even preparing poultry that has been infected. It's not really a risk to humans. There are cases where it has transmitted to humans, but it's rare.
There are cases with a bird who has avian bird flu. Yeah. And there was a very famous one in America recently by a famous TikTok person, an ostrich person, and she was kissing her bird who had avian flu. And they're like, you could create a super strain of avian flu that jumps to humans. So that is, you know, you have to be careful.
Yes,
so they're taking as much as they can. God bless the poor birds. So
I know.
There will be culls.
There will be culls, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe a few seagulls, no?
A few
Would we miss them? Would we miss them?
Oh my God!
Sorry. Is that too controversial?
We've had this conversation many a time on this show about the seagulls.
Let's just say the not so silent assassin for seagulls here. Went
Sorry,
straight,
seagulls.
Straight for the gullet with the old seagulls there. 18, Finnegan. Front of the Irish Times, seagull killer.
Now, lots of housing targets missed
Huge
yesterday.
amount. Now, we had, the government was sort of out of the traps there a couple of days ago to get ahead of this story, I suspect, because they were saying that their new target, in fairness, their housing targets have been exceeded for completion of new builds this year. They wanted 25,000, they've completed over 26,000.
Yep.
But now that we see the long list of targets that have been missed. It kind of puts that in context. So many things. Delay in a programme of compulsory purchase orders for vacant properties. Targets missed for retrofitting social housing. That's going to take 2 years instead of 1. We have delays to deadlines to have regulations in place which make it mandatory to register short-term lets. So obviously Airbnb and other short-term letting platforms have decreased the amount of long-term available properties because people can make more money from their short-term lettings. And so we've heard there's been a clampdown in the works for so long, and you know, new rules to say if you have somebody in that renting that in the short term for longer than 90 days, you're going to need to have a change of use of planning permission.
Yes.
The problem is enforcement, because these targets here today show that there are a number of local authorities that haven't instigated any investigations into short-term lettings that have that.
Even though we have seen earlier on this year, it happened in your paper, it happened in The Independent, it was happening in all the papers. They were going, OK, so there's 17 houses for rent in Galway.
Yeah.
But there was 3,000, like how many were up on Airbnb?
Yeah.
So there is a correlation here. There is a big issue. And we were just talking to Mary Brosnan, Director of Nursing and Midwifery, who, like, obviously people cannot rent because of short-term lets.
Yeah.
So there is a direct correlation. It's not just in Ireland. They're trying to get rid of it in France. They're trying to get rid of it in Germany. It's causing a homeless crisis globally.
Yeah, but then you have people who are renting their house out in Airbnb and sort of saying, that's not my problem, it's the government's problem.
Absolutely, I completely...
And they're right.
It is, they are right.
They are right. It is the government's problem.
So you just think people, your house, you should be allowed to do whatever you want?
No, I'm not saying that they should be allowed to do what they want, but I'm sure there are people there saying, well, look, I'm renting it out and I'm trying to make a few bob, I'm trying to make a living, and it's the government's problem that there's not enough houses.
Well, there you go. We'd love to hear from you this morning, 089, because exactly, if it's their property, should they be allowed to do whatever they want? Is there any moral responsibility here, and does that lie with the government? We'd love to hear from you this morning. It's 089 611 111. We're all turning into Michael Davitt in the Land League on Ireland AM this morning.
No, we're terrible drivers. Are we terrible drivers?
Do you know how to plug in your car yet?
No.
No, OK. There we go. Alan, tell us about this survey. It's at 6,000 people.
Yes, Easy Trip has conducted the survey, and apparently we're only average drivers. Most people think that their fellow drivers are pretty bad. And 5% say their own driving is great. Now...
Here she goes. I'm going to kill a seagull and I'm an amazing driver.
I know I'm a terrible driver.
Do you?
Yeah, I know I'm a terrible driver.
How do you know?
Well, I did a thing for the show here to redo my test, and I'd failed before I left the testing centre.
Alan, I would say so many people would be in the same situation. So my husband is always saying, every 10 years you should have to sit your test again.
Oh, God, I would definitely fail. Yeah, I'd failed before I left the testing centre.
But I'm just wondering for people, for me, there are things about bad drivers, like, you know, leaving an indicator on or not putting an indicator on, like all those really annoying things. But there's something that really gets to me about driving, and that is, like, being someone who is from Limerick. If you let someone out, there's a big wave. Or if you're driving on the roads of Kerry, there's a big wave. In Dublin,
Nobody acknowledges you.
No one acknowledges you. They don't say thank you for anything. It drives me insane. It's so easy to be nice.
Yes, yeah.
And there'd be nicer drivers on the road and better drivers if we were nice.
Or if you let someone go into your lane, I'm expecting an I'll wave or, you know, in the rear view mirror, and I always just go, "You're welcome." I shout.
What is good about it is that a lot of the people who were surveyed said they agreed with the penalty points, and that the number one, 75% said you definitely should have penalty points if you're caught with a mobile phone.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's very good that 75% of people are thinking that.
I think that's why the penalty point system has been so successful, is that people understand it's about safety. You know, there's buy-in because of that.
There absolutely is. We'd love to hear the driving things that really wreck your head. Love to hear them this morning. 089 611 111 from the Irish Times. Aidan Finnegan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, coming up, Alan's bringing you some motoring advice because he's such a petrol head, is our Alan.
There we go. Not me specifically. We'll be hearing from the expert, Geraldine Herbert, about all your motoring musts when driving this winter. We'll see in a few minutes.
Can't wait until you find the plug for that one.
Yeah,
You'll be grand.
Where is it? Where is it? Thanks for staying with us now. The early dark evenings are here to stay for the next few months, and motoring journalist Geraldine Herbert is about to go through some of the things we should be wary of when driving in dark and poor conditions. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan.
Let's start by looking at this car.
Yes.
You've just told me this is 80 grand's worth.
85, actually.
85?
To find another 5, Alan. Yeah.
85,000 euro.
Yeah, but look.
Why?
OK, it is Kia's most powerful production car ever. It is the EV6, the all-electric, but a GT version of it. So it's super fast. It's literally just a trophy car. They're only going to sell a handful of them, but it's to really show what electric cars can do more than anything else. They're not slow, they're powerful, they're sporty, and that's what this is about.
So this is 100% electric, so this is getting away the myth of all, it's slow and it's all this.
The whole lot. No, this is a rocket, I can tell you that. It really is. Plus, it charges really fast because it's got super fast charging technology, so you can charge to 80% in literally 18 minutes. So
18 minutes?
18 minutes. I pulled in the other day and I charged it up that quickly. So it is just...
And what features do we have inside?
It's got all your modern features, got everything you need. It's distinguished from the normal EV6 by the bigger wheels, you can see that. And it's just incredibly sporty looking, do you not think?
It does, because I was saying to you, you were coming in front of me this morning, and like the big red strip lights at the back, I was literally going, what car is that? Yeah. But it does look amazing, but 85 grand, okay.
No, but it's for a particular buyer, okay? This is not your average family car. So, as I said, it's to show what Kia can do and what electric cars can do.
Yeah. Now, we are talking about the darker evenings now coming in. It's dark at 5 o'clock. So what should we be looking out for now because we're driving in those darker evenings?
Sounds incredibly obvious, but lights, Alan. I was out on Monday night, the first night when the clocks had changed, and the amount of people driving with dimmed lights or dud lights, blown bulbs. If you've been commuting up to now in the daylight, you probably haven't noticed. You need to check all of those lights, ensure they're all working.
And you basically just get in your car, turn on your lights, and go around to the front of it and check everything.
Check the rear, check the whole lot. The other thing to be wary of is daytime running lights. They're the lights that come on when you turn your car on.
Yes.
They're grand during the day, but they're to alert other people about you being on the road. They're not to illuminate the road. So when it comes to the evening time, turn on the dipped beams. That's what you need to physically put on your lights.
God, I just get into my car, and because the lights are on, I assume they're okay in the evening.
And some of them switch on, but just double check that you have the proper dipped headlights on in the evening, because that's the one thing. And nighttime comes in very quickly now, so just make sure that your lights are properly on and you're not relying on the daytime running lights. Now, some of the cars switch automatically, but some don't, so just be careful. The thing about daytime lights is they don't illuminate the back.
Right.
That's what the danger is, so they're not designed for night.
So then, and like every car should have your little emergency kit, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
What should be in an emergency kit?
Okay, a few things that are handy to have in winter. One is a warning triangle. They're handy to have all year round in case you break down or something happens.
Is that just in case you break down, you can put a little triangle behind your car?
High-vis vest, same reason, just in case you're stuck at the side of the road. Thing I would always have at this time of the year is a battery pack for your mobile phone. So if your mobile phone goes down, you can charge it, because most of us rely on our phones as maps, as everything. It's not just simply to call people. And a torch. Now, a particularly good one is a head torch, because it frees up your hands, so you can just literally attach that, or just something tiny like this one is here somewhere. Yeah, like
just
that
a small
actually
little
gives
one.
a lot of light. Yeah. So little things like that, a first aid kit would be another idea.
I never even think of those things. But then if you are at the side of a road, especially on country roads, and you've broken down, you need all these little things, small little things. Where would you get them, things like that? In
any of those motor accessory shops. They're really cheap to buy. Just pick them up, throw them in, like Halfords or any of those, you'll get them in.
And would you recommend people to get maybe a winter service to their car? Is it needed?
I think if you're getting your car regularly serviced, as in terms of the schedule that you're given by the manufacturers, you should be fine.
You shouldn't be needed.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, check the lights and stuff like that, because there are things that could break in between servicing. But if you're getting your car regularly serviced, you shouldn't need a winter one.
And then obviously vision and your own vision and and the vision in the car.
Yeah, the thing is, keep your windows cleared as well, because you'll notice at this time of the year the sun is really low, and at around 4 o'clock in the evening, when that dusk time, it's really hard to see at times. So if there's any sort of dirt on your windows, it's only going to be amplified. So make sure they're clear. Check your eyes as well. You should be getting an eyesight test every 2 years. They're the sort of things that you really will notice in winter if you need glasses or if, it's beginning to be compromised.
Just small little things, but make sure one thing you do today, get out and check your lights on your car.
All of your lights.
And use them. And use them, yeah, exactly. Geraldine, thank you very much for that. Now we're going to have a quick break. What's up next?
We're going to be taking a look at the life of Elon Musk, who recently purchased Twitter for $44 billion. Sure, why not? We'll see you shortly on Ireland AM. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline: temperatures in Europe rise at more than twice global average. European temperatures are rising faster than the rest of the planet, as the European region has seen temperatures rise 0.5 degrees Celsius on average each decade since 1991. That's according to the United Nations.
The Examiner leads with the same story: Europe's weather extremes set to become regular events.
The front page of the Irish Independent, we were talking about it a little while ago. Airbnb clampdown delayed as raft of housing targets missed. A promised clampdown on Airbnbs and other short-term lets is among a wide range of key housing targets that have been missed under the government's multi-billion euro housing plan as homelessness hits 11,000.
The Herald goes with couple quizzed over baby's horror injuries. A man and a woman have been quizzed over an alleged assault on a 9-week-old baby girl who suffered serious head injuries at her home in Louth.
Just all of our thoughts are with her at the minute. The Mirror goes with Leo. I'm not going to hell. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has insisted he isn't going to hell after a priest claimed gay people will be damned if they do not repent. He's like, lads, I'm not going to hell.
No.
I have to say that out loud.
And the Star also leads with Leo, I'm not going to hell for being gay.
And the Irish Daily Mail goes with Leo dismisses priest's gays go to hell rant.
There we go. And the Sun leads with the same: Leo Fury at hell rant priest.
So do all of our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQI plus community now have to insist that they're not going to be like...
none of us are going to hell.
I'm an atheist, but I'm not going to hell. Is that what's going to have to happen there? Now, messages that have come in this morning. We were talking about the shortages of staff within maternity hospitals around the country. In Tipperary, there is almost a third of vacancies continually in their maternity wards. This is from Amy, and Amy says, I'm a fourth-year nursing student and I won't be staying on to work in Ireland. This has nothing to do with the cost of living. It's the way we're treated as students. We're made to feel worthless from the minute we start. We're not even allowed to sit in the same canteens as staff, and we're completely isolated. That's why no students want to stay. I had never heard of anything about not being able a segregated we're going back to a civil rights movement at this stage.
You can't come in because you're only a student?
Or men go to the front lounge and women have their own lounge in a pub back in the 1920s. I've never heard anything like it. Let us know if there's more of you, or if you are a midwife, or if you are a nurse, and do you see that actually happens? Now, we do know that during COVID, student nurses were treated abominably, not getting paid, and the amount of work that student nurses do, and it's not recognised. So we'd love to hear from you about that.
Let us know. And also, bad drivers, we were asking you for what's your pet peeve with drivers. Roundabouts. Danny says, people who can't use a roundabout drive me insane. Learn your lanes and use your indicators. Road rage. But it is crazy if you're on a roundabout and they're on that level, they want to go there, and then they just cut in front of you.
They cut across. There's loads more interesting ones inside here as well, including dogs. We'll get to those in a while. The pet peeves, the driving pet peeves, 0896 111 111.
Now, next, he's the richest man in the world, and he's just taken over Twitter. We're going to be chatting all things Elon Musk after the break. Must we? We must.
I know.
We must. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the world's richest man completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter last week and is already making major changes.
Joining us to discuss what the future holds for the social media platform that has been a cesspit for many years is Deputy Editor at Silicon Republic, Jenny Darmody. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk about this. Why did Elon Musk take over Twitter?
He says he wants to help humanity. That's what he says, because he cares about all of us.
Goodness,
yeah. He wants to help it. He wants to bring it back to, you know, the common digital town square, or so he says, and make the world a better place. I feel like it's a bit more like he fancied a hotel on a Monopoly board. You know, like he just fancied buying it. And when people have that much money, I feel like that's just how easy it is to be like, I think I'll just buy that.
Now, the thing is, he genuinely never intended to. He said something flippantly and then
Yes.
Twitter called his bluff.
Yeah, it was a shower thought, basically. Like, it was a whim. Ironically.
Seriously?
I
Like
think
when
so.
he announced he wanted to take over Twitter and was doing it and going into negotiations, it was all just
But he
on
was
a whim?
he was forced to do it
He
by
pulled
Twitter.
When he
out.
went, when he
or
went to
tried
pulled
pull
out, when he tried to pull out.
Yeah, well, he tried to pull out because he said that they were misleading about how many bots are on Twitter. But I mean, everybody knows that there's lots of bots on Twitter. That's not something that he's just like, what? You have fake accounts on your platform? This is outrageous. So yeah, it's one of those many things that he just says, ironically, on Twitter, just has a whim, says it out loud, and then ended up having to go through with it because he didn't want to go to court.
OK, we know the man. Let's go back and, like, who is Elon Musk and how is he the richest man in the world?
Well, he was born in South Africa, but his mother is Canadian. So he came over to Canada to sort of make his money. Like, his family is wealthy, but he kind of distanced himself from that and says he's a self-made man. He did create a company called Zip2 in the dot-com boom and sold that on for about $300 million. Made his first... I think he made about 70 million from that or whatever. So that was when he was 20, or he was in his 20s.
20, wow.
He was 27, I think, when he made it. So he was already a millionaire then. And then he was part of the people who created what is now known as PayPal, which was then sold to eBay for 1.5 billion. And he made about 170 odd.
Yeah.
It's 170 million out of that. So that's how he kind of made his initial money. And now he's head of SpaceX and he invested in Tesla and now he's the biggest shareholder there. So that's kind of where his worth is coming from, is the worth of those companies.
And I'm not saying there isn't a huge skill to this. Like Warren Buffett over the past decades, Warren Buffett looks at a market and his analytical mind and he invests. But there is this cult of personality around this man who seems to have no personality, which is fascinating, about, like, he's going to change the world. He's created the Tesla car. He hasn't. He's got amazing engineers and he has invested in a company, right?
Yeah.
Same with SpaceX.
Absolutely.
He's not building the rockets that are sending people to space.
Yeah, I mean, he has a physics, or he trained in physics and stuff, so he hasn't come from nothing in terms of the knowledge, but yeah, like, he is the CEO of a number of companies. That's what he's kind of the richest man, or the richest person in the world for.
And his net worth is...
212 billion, I think.
212 billion. But is that the case, as you're saying, it's because, like, so if the shares in all these companies drop, his net worth is going to drop dramatically as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's on paper he's worth this.
Yeah.
I mean, so already with Twitter, he sacked the board.
Yep. He sacked the board, he sacked a number of senior executives, and a number of other senior executives have walked of their own accord, unsurprisingly. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess in there.
And since he's taken over, the people who monitor such things, hate speech has increased
massively
on
yeah,
Twitter.
The head of safety and integrity of Twitter actually admitted that as well, said that the hateful comments have gone through the roof since he's taken over. It's a bit like watching an episode of Succession in real time, though, just like kind of waltzing in and firing the entire board and making himself sole director.
Is this because people feel, oh, we can get away with this now? Because he's in charge?
I guess. I mean, he's always kind of treated himself as a bit of a free speech absolutist. Yeah, like, he really believes in, like, the power of free speech and stuff. So what tends to come with people who believe that is like a no holds barred approach, so that you can say whatever you want, any way you want. So that's hateful comments. It's fake news. It's concerning.
Yeah.
And you're speaking of fake news there, and the thing is that he will allow Trump back on Twitter.
Yeah, that's still up in the air whether or not he actually will do it, because he has to toe the line of, you know, making his advertisers happy at the end of the day. Like, he is trying to make money from Twitter in other ways, but advertising is still a really big spend. And literally some advertising companies, big advertising companies, have already told their clients to stop spending with Twitter for now, because the situation is, what they said is, unpredictable and chaotic, which kind of sums him up as a person.
So that is because, as we know, you just said his net worth 2 weeks ago was 222 billion. It's dropped 10 billion since he took over Twitter. Of course, he doesn't own all of Twitter. You know, there's a Saudi prince has invested in it. There's lots of different investors and banks and all that kind of way. There are still rules in relation to what social media companies can do. And certainly the European Union has been tweeting, going, hi, yeah, we still have rules here in relation to what can be said on Twitter in this. So we're not saying that people will be allowed back in. So there's all of these other things that are going on in the background. But the worry is, what's going to happen to it? Now, does he want to monetize the platform?
Yes, he's bringing in, or attempting to bring in, sort of a paid. Now, Twitter already has a subscription service called Twitter Blue, which kind of gives you extra features and things like that. But the blue tick that people have for their verification, and people like Taylor Swift, Barack Obama, they all have the verification tick. He now wants to charge them.
Taylor, give me that $20.
Well, he tried to charge them $20, and then Stephen King was like, no. So Elon Musk was like, OK, how about 8? So there was this really weird sort of negotiation happening live on Twitter between Elon Musk and Stephen King about the price of it, which seems really arbitrary.
Elon Musk have said, well, would you pay 8?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Like, it's just...
And Stephen King's like, that's not the point here.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that, so for creators on social media platforms like YouTube, like Instagram, like Facebook, there's a way for them to make money.
Yeah.
That's not a feature of Twitter, really.
No.
It's not. It's just a place where your shower thoughts go on a page and you're stuck with them for the rest of your life. So what is the mood like in relation to him wanting to monetize this sphere?
I mean, it's a mix. I suppose, like, Twitter really is a bit of a digital town square. So you get all the extreme from both sides. So you get a lot of, like, Elon Musk fanboys as well being like, yeah, this is going to get rid of all the really annoying people. This is awesome. Great job. But, like, by and large, the people that I've spoken to are very much like, this is a terrible idea. I mean, even the fact that if you were to pay the subscription, for example, and you get your blue tick, your replies and what you say also gets amplified. So, you know...
Yeah.
I think it's funny that he thinks the current verification system is a lord and peasant system. So he's trying to make it less elite by making people pay for it.
Yeah, is that a little more, make it less elite? And some people have left the platform because of his takeover. Any major names have left?
A few. Now, it depends on what leave actually means. I mean, a lot of people have said bye, but like whether or not they've actually deleted and deactivated their account is another thing. But Stephen King has, as we know, already threatened to leave. Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Grey's Anatomy and a number of other television shows, have also said like she's not going to stick around for Elon Musk. Tay Leone has also said that she's going to leave. Tony Braxton. And a number of other ones as well.
There's a lot. I do enjoy the memes that are saying this isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Just go. Like it's fine.
Press release out.
I'm leaving Twitter on Twitter. Which is an interesting thing.
Then stays to watch to see what
people say about what's happening. The thing is that Twitter, it's certainly been linked, and a lot of studies are being done about mental health and in relation to Twitter. And talking to friends of mine who have come off it, they're like, I am a different human being. Like after a week, they're like, why don't I feel panicked all the time? And they're like, oh, it's because I'm off Twitter. But it's addictive. Like
it's designed to be addictive.
It's designed to be addictive. And this drama is adding more to it. Like, as you said, this is like watching Succession. He walked into Twitter headquarters with the kitchen sink.
I'm pretty sure just so that he could tweet, let that sink in. Like, this is the kind of chaotic energy that we have at the helm.
And, like, speaking of him, like, about the man, he's 10 children.
Yes, he does, yeah.
So, I mean, like, what's his personal life then? Because we saw then pictures of there with his mother.
Well, he spent Halloween with his mother. So what does a man do when you've got 10 kids? Don't spend Halloween a time when you can dress up with your children, with any of your children. Get dressed up with your mum.
I mean, so the 10 children are from 5 from a first marriage, is it?
Yeah, I think 2 marriages and 1 with Grimes.
2 with Grimes?
Yeah, his current partner,
Yeah, and then he had twins with another woman at the same time as Grimes had the other baby. It's a very big timeline.
And I'm assuming he's supporting all 10 of them, no problem, and that there's no suits or anything like that about
As far as I'm aware, it's all quite amicable.
That's all quite amicable.
One of his children is changing her name because she doesn't want to be associated with him in any way, shape or form.
Yes,
though,
that's true. And
by default.
Another one with Grimes is a famous sort of an acronym of a name as well that nobody can pronounce.
That none of us can pronounce.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you're just going to sit and watch, eat your popcorn and watch what's happening on Twitter?
Yeah, mostly I would be able to predict, you know, what does the future hold for things like this. But he is such a chaotic man, and he's literally the kind of person who could press the delete button on the entire platform. Now he won't because he paid $44 billion for it. But the fact that he could is quite worrying.
It's mad, isn't it?
Can you imagine just accidentally one day that could happen?
Twitter's gone. Twitter's down.
That's it. Jenny Darmody, Deputy Editor at Silicon Republic. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for coming into us. Cheers.
It is crazy, isn't it? 44 billion.
Billion.
Just buy that for free. Anyway, coming up, Alberto Rossi, who makes that kind of money every year, will be serving up Italian flavours in the kitchen.
It's a dish called Lema de Vale, isn't it?
How do you pronounce it in Italian?
I can't say it in Italian.
No,
I'm going to say it in Irish. Plus, Derek is in a town so tidy you could eat directly from the street. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
We wouldn't encourage that.
No.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Beko Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Now, Alberto Rossi from the Intercontinental Hotel is here with an Italian dish which translated into English means jump in your mouth.
And in Gaeilge, Lema de Vale. Let's just remember that. Alberto.
Jump in your mouth, I love it.
Good morning.
Well, go on, tell us.
Chicken Saltimbocca.
Saltimbocca.
Salti in bocca.
Salti in bocca.
Yes.
Now you can say jump in your mouth in Italian.
I'll be saying it all day. I'll be just going around to everybody, salti in bocca.
You'll be like, ciao, salti in bocca.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all
It's a
good.
very specific word, you know. It's not something that you use any other way, you know.
No. I want to be careful how you use that now. It's not very
We have here chicken breast. We just, you know. Thank you very much.
Take over, Alberto.
And we cut it in half by the length. So by the length means that you're not going to cut it in half straight like this, but you're going to cut it like this way so it becomes a little bit thinner, so it cooks faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, one chicken breast gives you two, so it looks like, I doubled up the
four.
food. Exactly.
Four, yes.
You know, so then I have a pan here that is getting warm. You want it warm, but not burning, you know, because then once you add the oil, it'll just burn and you smell the kitchen, and then you're done. You have to open the windows, and it's cold outside. You don't want that. you know, I do that sometimes at home. And
So don't burn. Don't burn. Don't burn.
So your oil there, your chicken breast there. You have a little bit of flour on a plate here.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put some salt and some pepper on the chicken, just to make sure that it's nicely seasoned. And then I just dust it a little bit on the flour. Not much, you know. And then it goes in the pan. And, you know, it's not boiling. You just want a nice color. Okay?
Okay. Is that on at all?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
I don't like to.
So you don't even want a quick sizzle on it. You just want.
You want a quick sizzle, but it'll take no time, you know, because this pan and then you have the induction cooking here. It's very quick.
All right. Okay.
You know, when you have gas, you kind of have to let it run a little bit earlier, you know.
Can already hear it there now.
Exactly.
And that's basically it, is it?
Yeah. Well, it starts like this, and then you make sure that it's colored a little bit, or at least blonde, you know, not burned, you know. And then we have here sliced tomatoes.
Yes.
You can do any tomatoes, once they are not cherry, because otherwise they'll fall off. I have some cheese that it comes off the big block of cheese down there.
Look at the size of that block of cheese. Can we see the block of cheese,
there it
please?
is.
I think that could be heaven. Is that heaven? Is that what heaven looks
because
like?
it's not too smelly, it's not too strong, it's mild, you know, it's called auricchio.
Oh my
And it's very nice. You can have it also smoked.
Where do you get something like that?
Well, in work, when we buy cheese, sadly, you have to buy big blocks of cheese, you know, like,
So
you don't want to buy small pieces and go at it all day long.
So Mirren couldn't go in and buy that now?
Well, probably you could, you know, but I think you can't fit that in the fridge. You take everything away,
But
you know?
you know what's really interesting? You know, it's funny when you're in Spain, in Madrid, or in...
They're all hanging out.
And all the cheese and all the meats are just hanging down in those.
That is it.
They're so fabulous.
It is fabulous. You know, we use them also for when we have events and everything. You put it out there.
You put it out.
It's a talking point.
And Alberto is going
cheese, yeah, exactly.
Here, give me a tiny block of cheddar.
And then it comes out sliced like that. Obviously, we have a slicer at work, so it slices very fine.
Can I try some?
Absolutely.
So, and is it any particular, so any cheese you can use?
Any cheese. You don't want something like blue cheese or brie that'll be too creamy and too strong in flavor. It's very mild. If you have a smoked cheese, that will work very, very nicely.
Oh, lovely.
Because you're putting the tomatoes, the cheese, Parma.
So what are we
and a little
doing
bit
with
of
this? Then? Are we
sage.
putting it on top
Absolutely. Now we're gonna do like this. We're gonna turn it around.
Okay.
And then, as it's still cooking, we put a couple of slices of tomato on it.
Oh.
And you don't need to add extra salt because the tomato will give you the sauce. As it's baking in the oven, it will cook.
Oh, fabulous.
And then the cheese goes on top of it.
Your cheese goes on top of the tomato like that. And then we put...
While it's in the pan, obviously.
While it's in the pan, because I can put the pan directly in the oven. Most of the pans that...
Oh, it
all
goes
of the pans
in
they
the
say you put in
oven
the
now.
oven.
Okay.
So you finish to cook it in the oven. So then you see, you fold the cheese on top of it. Now, if you don't like cheese, you can even don't put the cheese.
No, I'm not a fan of cheese, but I love it when it's melted like that onto something.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, when it's like... But I wouldn't pick up a thing of cheese and eat it.
No, but this is... and then you have your Parma ham sliced on top of it.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Very simple. And then, you just put one sage leaf on each, because that will give the extra flavor.
And that goes into the pan. That goes into the oven.
That goes in the oven like this. Obviously, I have one already done.
With the pan.
With the pan, yeah. The pans are all designed that they can go in the oven. Even if they have a plastic handle,
I was going to say...
still go in the oven.
Oh,
and then you have it here, you see?
Look
Oh,
at
lads,
that.
I put that between a roll.
It's very nice.
Oh, God.
You
Lovely
could,
You
chicken.
could.
I know, but like you're making... Let's go into your local...
like that.
Garage and getting your chicken roll.
Yeah, our fanciest chicken roll in the world.
You can serve it with a salad, you can serve it with tomato, with a roast potato.
How long do you leave? So it's cooked, is it?
It
Like
is
the
cooked,
chicken
it's
is
cooked,
sorry.
yeah.
The chicken
It's
is cooked.
About 7 or 8 minutes in the oven, about 170, 180. And then you can put a little bit of salad if you feel like it. So it's simple. And it's light.
It's very, yeah.
That's it. Simple
That's
as
lovely.
that.
Look at that, Johnny. There, we have a shot of it there. Just leave it there. We get a nice shot of it.
And as I
there.
said, you don't like the cheese, you can even don't put the cheese.
Oh, no, the cheese would be lovely on it.
But it is
But it's
lovely.
very simple. I thought like it was going to be more complicated. But as you're doing it, it's just a little breast into the pan and then you're piling everything on top
and
of
as
it.
I said, when you cut the chicken in half, it's easier. Because otherwise you'll have a big piece of chicken with the parma and everything, and it looks horrible. Instead, like that, it's very simple.
That is
delicious.
It's seasoned to perfection.
Very
That is
good.
so. So the sealing in with the flour,
Yes,
the tiny bit of flour.
Exactly. It keeps all the juices in, and then you have the tomato and the cheese melting, so you don't need an extra sauce on it. And then you have the saltiness of the parma.
Yeah.
And the
It's
sage
delicious.
is extra flavor.
The
sage
sage
is always lovely, yes.
Yeah.
And where do you just have a little bit of sage on the top?
Yeah, just on the top, so it crisps up and it gives away all those natural flavors of it, And some of it goes into the chicken and the parma.
Alberto, it is delicious.
Very good,
And
delighted.
it's simple.
Very simple, and it's cost effective. Chicken breast, cut in half. I only did 2 chicken breasts here, and I have 4 pieces.
4
And
pieces.
you wouldn't want to, like, you would just serve that like that.
If you want, you can eat 2, but if you serve it with
No, yeah,
potatoes
we
or
can.
vegetables
Yeah.
or salad,
One's
happy
enough.
days. Yes.
Alberto, always fantastico.
No
Well, how do you
problem.
pronounce it again?
Chicken saltimbocca.
Saltimbocca.
Can't remember that.
And they are that good, aren't they?
They are so good.
They are
Alberto
delicious.
Rossi
Very
from the
good.
Intercontinental. Thank
Now,
you so much.
Thank you. Move over. Kim and Aggie Derrick will be chatting to the winners of this year's Tidy Town after the break. Saltimbocca.
Inspired by nature, powered by light. Becco Harvest Fresh sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Derek has been in the terrifically tidy trim all morning. Did you see that?
Indeed. See
Yes,
what
I did
happened
there,
there? Yeah. Now he's chatting to some of their Tidy Town Board members now. Morning, Derek.
Yes, guys, welcome down here to Trim in County Meath, Ireland's Tidiest Town 2022! They haven't stopped celebrating since their big win on Friday, and what a win, Brian.
Absolutely massive win. We're absolutely delighted. And here's the trophy.
Yes, that is the trophy there. It's at the RDS, that's where it all happened at the
It all
weekend.
happened last Friday, yes. Want to thank some volunteers who weren't around for the celebrations. Stephanie Gallegos, who's in the US, and Sean McCambridge, who's in hospital in Drogheda. And actually, my 2 kids, Tom and Dan.
Now, let's talk about the huge volunteer effort that goes into making Tidy Towns such a success.
It's a full town effort. Volunteers, all the community groups that are involved in the town, from the GA, tennis club, Skirlickstown Olympiad, all the schools, just businesses. Everybody who keeps their house well, their business well, everybody who picks up after themselves. It's a full town effort.
And it was a very tight win for Trim because he only won by a point.
Yeah, Clonakilty.
In Cork, nearly had you.
West Cork, it's a beautiful town.
Beautiful town, yes.
Can't say we deserve it more than they do.
Yes.
I've been down there. It's a wonderful place as well. But we have the trophy.
We have the trophy, and you're keeping it. And of course, a big investment from Meath County Council. More.
Yes, indeed. I work with Meath County Council, and we have worked in close collaboration with groups like the Tidy Towns and a lot of other local groups. And my crew, I have to say, are fantastic. Nothing is too much trouble for them, and anything I've ever asked of them, they've delivered.
And I'm
so
looking over
thanks to
my
them.
shoulder here to the banks of the River Boyne. You have a beautiful walkway open now.
We do indeed. We call it the Porchfields Walkway. It's recently been upgraded, and it includes adult gym equipment area, picnic areas, and a beautiful walk along the Boyne, which brings you over to Newtown Cemetery, graveyard area, and back around then by Yellow Steeple and back to the castle.
And this was the first time that the Tidy Towns was back in action in the RDS. Obviously, with COVID, we had a wee bit of a break. So there's huge excitement about the Tidy Towns this year, isn't there?
Huge excitement. It really was. As you say, it's been a strange few years for everybody, so it's fantastic to be able to get together and celebrate in style.
And they're always up at the crack of dawn. I was talking to one of the locals, one of the volunteers here, 6:30 in the morning.
6:30. My guys for sure get up early when needed and do the street sweeping and anything else that's asked of them. And late at night, weekends, whenever they're called, they step up.
And Puka Festival just finished here in Trim as well. A very successful weekend here in the town.
Hugely successful. It was fantastic. A lot of people came in for that, and there was a lot going on. And Trim is fantastic. It gets a lot of festivals like that. So more of the same. It's a great place to visit.
More of the same to come. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Thomas, originally from Slovakia.
Yes.
Is that correct? It is. And you're involved in the sustainable angle. So what's involved in that?
Yes, so we started with the wildflower meadows on the Porchfields, and there is a huge corridor made for pollinators with the wildflowers. We have 2 more projects come next year. One of them is the San Martin's Wall, where we want to create a habitat and breeding grounds for the San Martin
Now,
birds.
the San Martin, are they originally an Irish species or foreign?
To be honest, I don't know.
Okay,
there is 2 guys which are more involved in the bird watching and bird.
But they actually breed in the wall.
Yes, they breed in the wall. They come in every year, and they need banks on the rivers.
Okay.
But because most of them are collapsing, we want to create a wall that they can breed in.
So it's a new habitat for
It's
them.
a new habitat,
and
yes.
speaking of habitats, of course, the wildflower meadows that you're creating here as well in the town.
Yes. And we have a new project which is called Elder Project. And that's a project to plant 10,000 trees. So it's a tree for every citizen of a Trim. And this will be a mixture of native trees, and in collaboration with the council, as Maura said, we identified sites where we're going to plant these trees. So as I said, it's an all native species to promote biodiversity.
And so you won by a point. So I'm taking it. I'm taking the reason you won by a point was because all that huge sustainability. That's a big part of Tidy Towns now, Brink.
Yes, it's years ago. It was just about how a place looked and flower displays. Now it's a major focus on climate change sustainability. And we've been focusing on that over the last year. We have Ronan Moore here as part of the group. He's head of the Trim Sustainable Energy Community, Trim SEC. And we did an energy audit for the town this year. And we also retrofitted a few houses for people in energy poverty. So that was a massive scorer, but it's a brilliant project.
Okay, and can we say a big congrats as well to the other towns involved in the win as well. We have Rosscarbery down in Cork, Clonakilty as well in the Rebel County. We had Ennis in County Clare and Care in County Tipperary. But for now, Trim is the jewel, the tidy jewel in the Royal Crown. Can we have a big cheer, guys? Back to you in the studio. Well done, guys. Congratulations.
It's so beautiful where he is there, isn't it?
It looks gorgeous. We're trying to figure out where is he.
We'll find out.
Can we be there?
He's like, can I go there next?
Can I go there
amazing.
next?
It looks fantastic. Now, still to come in the final hour of Ireland AM, the woman behind the Justice for Jason campaign, Tracey Corbett Lynch, will be opening up about the loss of her brother Jason when he was murdered in the US and finding solace in sadness.
We'll be back in a few minutes.
Hello, welcome back. Now, earlier on we were talking about a survey where 77% of Irish people said that other people were bad drivers.
We're not good in this country.
And we're just like going on about your pet peeves. Dawn says, I think there should be penalty points for having your dog running around on your lap or front seat whilst driving. I can't understand how this is allowed. It is so dangerous. Is that allowed? I thought you had to strap in your dog.
It's not allowed. You're supposed to strap in your dog. But you do see it because the dog would be on the driver's lap looking at the window roll down, the dog looking out the window. And it's really cute, but it's really dangerous.
Yeah, I suppose when it's when I think of dogs like with their heads sticking out, I always think that they are strapped in though. Because that's a missile. Like if that goes through
a dog just suddenly decides to jump on you.
But even if you have a crash.
Oh, yes.
And you're not strapped in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tailgating.
So an awful lot of them are strapped in whilst it happens.
Yeah, but there are dogs. I have seen dogs just jumping from seat to seat in a car, especially smaller ones, because they think, it's only a little small dog.
Well, if I got a dog, you'd be strapped in, baby.
Yeah.
Strapped in.
Kathleen says, tailgating, my pet peeve is tailgating. It's so dangerous and causes crashes. Anyone who does this should be banned from driving. Sometimes I'm tempted to jam on the brakes despite that. I actually get like that, especially on the M50. They come up right behind you and they don't even give you a second to go into the other lane.
No,
and they're literally up and they're flashing their lights and you're going, give me a second, I will move when I can.
Well, now, flashing your lights. My father used to, he's gone now, so he can't get penalty points. He used to, if someone was tailgating, he would put on the brakes. And he'd do a thing where he'd be like, get back, get back, get back.
Yeah.
So he's like, I can't do anything.
I have done it.
Now, people should pull in on the road sometimes.
No, but I mean, if you are in the lane, if you're in the overtaking lane and you do want to get into the lane, but there's loads of traffic, so you can't at that particular moment, I will slightly put on the brake and let the brake and then just let them be able to move back. But then you get some people who are beeping you and flashing you and everything.
I think that's... No, you can't be flashing someone like that. God, there's so many messages that we do have to get through. We might try to get to them. There's about Airbnb, maternity hospitals. We're getting loads from nurses as well. And thank you for that. We'll try to get to them in just a little while. But we've got a very interesting thing.
Yes, coming up, Tracey Corbett Lynch, the older sister of the late Jason Corbett, who was murdered in 2015, tells us how her family is healing 7 years on from his death. So stay with us for that.
Welcome back. Tracey Corbett Lynch is a sister of Jason Corbett, who was killed in North Carolina in 2015. His second wife, Molly Martins, and her father, Tom Martins, were found guilty of his murder before their convictions were overthrown in 2021, and a retrial is now pending.
Yes, and Tracey joins us now to chat about her memoir on dealing with grief. Good morning to you, and thank you so much. I know you were saying you're really nervous and you don't like doing this, so thank you so much for being here. And we're looking at the book, Loss and What It Taught Me About Living. And you are here, you're living your life. And I mean, you have been through so much, and of course, about Jason's very public murder and what you had to go through. Can you tell us about hearing of it and how you dealt with it?
I think, like with grief, and really there's no two griefs that, you know, we experience the very same, and all of us, how I would experience grief and information, it'd be very different to how you would, Alan, or you would, Mirren. So it was really difficult, and it was obviously so public as well to experience it, and you feel such a sense of powerlessness, and you feel lost and struggle and wonder why this has happened to you. But, you know, we were very lucky. We had, you know, some wonderful people in our lives, and so much support as well, with people that really rallied around us. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, and this morning, like Sarah, Jason's youngest daughter, is here with us today, and Sarah's fantastic, so vocal. Like, she's really justice for Jason is what she lives in. And you do speak very openly about it, but I think your world must have been turned upside down, because I know that there was a visceral reaction by the public in Ireland to the overturning of the convictions for Molly and Tom Martins for the murder of Jason. They're facing retrial again. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I mean, we're doing okay now. We're taking it one day at a time, but we had spent so many years, you know, rebuilding our lives and, you know, seeking support and talk therapy and professional help, and, you know, and looking and really being introspective and finding ways on how to heal, and, you know, how do you come to terms with something like this. And we had done so much work, and obviously it was such a shock. when the convictions were overturned and a retrial was granted. And it's very much like, you know, the Jenga game where we'd all these building blocks of our lives that we'd rebuilt a different life as a new family. And, you know, it's like somebody comes along and just takes that bottom piece and everything comes falling down all around us. And it was an extremely difficult time for all of us individually and collectively. But you know what? We took some time and we, you know, stood back a little bit and realised that all of those pieces and what we had done, you know, to help ourselves heal were still there. So, you know, we're very resilient and we gathered ourselves together and we have each other as well. You know, we're a very open and close family, and we do talk.
To help each other.
To help each other. It's incredibly important to be honest and open.
Was there an anger there? Because I'm sure that happened. I think the overwhelming thing for me would be anger at the system for allowing that to happen.
I felt, and in the book, I definitely, you know, you feel so many different emotions in grief and not in. I talk about, you know, the 5 stages of grief, and I don't really agree that there's any particular stages at any particular time, but certainly there's anger. There's every emotion that you feel, but what's important is, you know, recognising, and for us, the fact that, you know, while you do feel powerless, you know, and it's really senseless, you know, what happened to Jason. But equally, you know, you have to accept, and that's the difficult thing, that we don't have control over certain things in our lives. And it's to come to terms with that and try to live in the present time. And I always try to teach that to the kids. And, you know, we look at focusing on today and what we can do today. If I looked ahead, you know, I know that there's a hearing in November, there is a hearing in January, there is a hearing on March 17th. There's a pre-trial hearing in early June, and the retrial is on the 26th of June. So, you know, if you focus on those things, you know, you're not living. You know, you're just looking forward all the time. And, you know, life, we're lucky to have it, is about being here and being present and being with you guys this morning, which is a pleasure. I do find them, you know, challenging to do interviews, but it's really important. I think grief, you know, is something that comes to all of us, and it's not something that we talk about enough, I feel. And like in my book, it's about my experience, you know, what I did to help me through, you know, the losses in my life, not just Jason, you know, but it's what I did, and I hope it provides some comfort to people.
I think it's fascinating there what you said. Obviously, in the top of your mind, the dates are there, like it's the birthdays of your children. They're right there.
Yeah.
But you want to live your life, and the way you're speaking with Sarah sitting right there, and it's her dad. You do talk about everything. Everything is in the open. Nothing's off limits. So that's kind of amazing, because you've got 4 kids now. You've got Jack and Sarah, obviously, who came into your family as children when they came home from the US. So how was that? Because almost in your mind, it must be the welfare of your now 4 children.
Jack and Sarah were our priority, and obviously our other 2 children. And we had spent initially the first 2 years of when Jack and Sarah came to live with us. I mean, we didn't talk about everything. We listened a lot, and, you know, there were things that we had to be very conscious of, that Jack and Sarah, you know, had been uprooted from a life, and like, you know, and we loved them. So, you know, we didn't ask questions. We listened more than we asked, and very much with children it shows in their behaviour as well. So that was important, and to provide them with security and love, and try to rebuild trust in adults, which they had lost completely. So after the convictions in 2017, and as the kids grew, obviously we had gone to so much, and we did a really good job protecting them. I think Sarah and Jack would agree, from, you know, everything that was out there, that actually it had become really difficult after that for them, I'm sure, to be aware of what was out there. You know, I mean, they know their own lives, but we worked together as a family. We did normal things. We went back to kind of what my parents would have done. We had dinner together, and, you know, if somebody wanted to talk to each other privately, Sarah's always good, and like they'd leave a note and we'd go and find somewhere quiet, you know, to have a chat. But we tried, like it was, if it's like singing in the sitting room, and, you know, before this had happened, you'd never find me dancing around the kitchen if a song came on. Sarah can show you some TikToks now that aren't public.
She's nodding over there going, oh yeah, I've got them in my bag.
Yeah, that you just have to embrace because life
Tracey,
can be pretty bad.
on. Like, you have to move on. And I know there was. I was looking at some pictures in here, and you were sort of saying, oh, I even felt guilty for looking good that day taking a selfie.
Yeah, and it does, you know, and that was the time where you actually have to really look deeply into yourself. And, you know, Jason didn't want to die. Megs didn't want to die. My mother didn't want it. People don't want to die. But I don't believe they want us to go on feeling, you know, really horrible about ourselves either. You know, I know that if any of them were here, they'd be, you know, living life because that's what they were like. You know, they loved life and they wanted to embrace it. So, yeah, there's really difficult moments in that. But you're right, we have to move forward. I wouldn't say move on. I live with grief. It doesn't live in me. It lives alongside me. And certainly, you know, after June 2023, I look forward to moving forward. And not be, you know, really a victim to the meat grinder that is the judicial system. Sarah has spent half of her life living under the judicial system. You know, they need, you know, victims, you know, need to be able to live their life. And Jack and Sarah and our children all need to be able to move forward with their lives. So that's what I'm hopeful for. You know,
Adam and Dean are involved in this as well. But there's one thing. You mentioned Mags there. It's Jason's wife. And Sarah and Jack's mum. And you keep their memory alive. Like, there's pictures of them all around the house.
Yeah, absolutely. When Jason left to move to America, he had left, you know, 2 suitcases from Mags's wedding dress, and, you know, they were all left before he went, and wanted to make sure that he had this time capsule of everything from, I have a Munster hat from when Mags and Jay and I and David went over to Biarritz, you know, many years ago, and we actually took
the Munster
suitcase.
were really good.
Yeah, they lost that time, but but yeah, and they are amazing. And we had followed them all over Europe, both of us as couples, you know, but we took out that suitcase only a couple of months ago, and Sarah and I, and we'd sat in the landing of our house, and I don't know why we took it out. Sometimes, you know, you just dig back in a little bit, it reconnects you, and I had found a bottle of aftershave inside it and completely forgot that it was a bottle of aftershave that Mags had gifted Jason when they were dating, and he wore it all the time, like, and all through his life, and continued to wear it.
I just love that you sprayed it on the stairs.
I sprayed it, and it was just, it pervaded, you know, everything, and like we felt his closeness. It was bittersweet as well, but they're lovely memories, and it's nice to have those. So we try to focus now on, you know, on the memories of them, because for some time during grief, I feel like for me, I get disconnected, you know, from the person, you know, with Jason in particular, trying to see past so much that we'd been exposed to. It took a long time to reconnect, and now I can recall him, and, you know, and the look and the feel of the hug, and
those lovely memories. I mean, it comes across that you're such a close-knit family, and your mother was your rock, and then she passed at the start of COVID. That must have been devastating for you.
Yeah, we thought really, you know, we couldn't cope with anymore, really. And Megs, or my mother, had contracted COVID, and she was the fulcrum of our family. She's what knitted us all together. And I had stopped working in January of the year. She passed away in May 2020, and I got to spend the 5 or 6 months beforehand with her, sitting on the bed and chatting with her and having the cups of tea, and really, you know, reigniting that very close mother-daughter relationship. And, you know, it was a difficult decision to stop working, but it was the best decision I ever made. And I think you never regret those things. Those decisions you make for people that you love, and the value of that is something, it's something I'd always say, you know, if there's something you want to do it now, you know, and just value the moments that you have, because they can change so quickly. They really can, you know. In 2015, I was in France. You know, we were looking at a holiday home where Dave and I were going to retire to, and a phone call changed everything, you know, and, you know, we had to go through so much, but I'm living a wholesome life. I don't want people to feel sorry for me, or, you know, I'm blessed to have, you know, Mags and Jason and my mother in my life. I don't feel like it's a burden. Grief can feel like a burden. But I'm very lucky with the people I've had.
I think it's beautiful what you just said there about living and the things that you don't regret, spending time with the people that you've loved, and you've experienced loss that a lot of us will never, ever, thankfully, have in our lives. The book is called Loss and What It Taught Me About Living, and getting to speak to Sarah today, who's with you, she's a testament to you. She's great crack. She's all about going home. She likes sitting down with her mammy and watching movies, not going out in the Tear in Limerick and Angel Lane. So the book is out now. It's there. Tracey Corbett Lynch, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Rob Condon is here with some looks at work from AM to PM. I'm quoting Christina Milian. Help me.
Yeah.
What are we doing? All sorts of things.
All sorts of stuff. We are taking a look at the perfect outfits for brunch with your girl gang, but they're all things that you'll be able to adapt into your everyday wear as well. And also throwing a pair of heels with them, changing around the accessories. You are going to be able to wear them on a night out. They're all available from the Casual Company, and they are online at casualcompany.ie.
The look number one is from Hannah today. So we're having a jumpsuit.
We are taking a look at a jumpsuit. Leopard print is always a timeless print, and we see it each season from spring, summer to autumn, winter. And I love this jumpsuit here. It's all about cozy, casual and chic with this. Now, what I love about this is the pockets give it a little bit of a slouchy appeal, but it does have a real structure to it as well. Straps as well to it, really great length to it, but a perfect outfit for brunch. Underneath it then, we have layered it up with this black top. Basics are always going to be your best friend for autumn, winter, because it's the season where we layer. But you can see the shoulder detail into this basic here, so it's just a little bit of a stylish update to that basic, because you've got that bold shoulder that we're seeing so much of at the moment. And even with a pair of jeans, a pair of leggings, this t-shirt is going to work.
Yeah, and the little runners with it then.
And then we've gone with the trainers with this here, which I think work really well to make it really casual. But if you wanted to change it around completely, going with a pair of heels with this, you could belt it in the middle, a little leather retro jacket, earrings, statement earring, you're ready for a night out.
And the sizes on the jumpsuit?
The sizes on the jumpsuit go up to a size 18, and also they're available in a few different colourways.
It looks really, really comfy. Like, I'm looking at jumpsuits a lot this year. They look
It's
great.
a kind of cool, casual and comfy look from the Casual Company.
Hello, Ava. Look at this.
Gorgeous look here on Ava, and I just love the boots with this look. But starting off here, we've got the floral print dress. It's a V neckline. It's a faux wrap dress. It's elasticated, full sleeve to it. It's kind of a mustard yellow and great print there. So it is kind of bringing a bit of colour into your wardrobe, which is great.
Great with a camel coat.
Yes, it would. Even a camel coat over the shoulders, or one of those teddy bear style coats in camel would make it really autumn, winter.
Fabulous.
And the dress is €54. You can see the swing, the fit and flair to this dress. Of course, it has pockets, and at the Casual Company, they have pockets with lots of their dress, which is great because it always gives you a better shape.
Yeah.
Then with the belt in the middle, they're at €19. It's a brown belt, so it's kind of a tan gold buckle detail, and we've just tied it in the middle there at the waist, just emphasising the waistline. If you wanted to go for a more casual look with this, they'll definitely go without the belt, pair of trainers, denim jacket, and it's going to work also.
Look at the boots. They're hitting just the right spot, aren't they?
These are my favourite. These are also available in black, and what I'd say is if you're buying the tan in them, buy the black, because you're going to get so much wear out of these. No, definitely, because you're going to be sorry if you don't, because they are going to go great with everything in your wardrobe. Even just a pair of jeans, a really statement coat, and those boots are going to work.
Ava, can you just lift up the skirt a little bit so we can see how high they go?
They just go
just right there,
below
perfect.
the knee. They're great with this dress. They'd also be great with the dress we're going to have a look at in a few minutes' time as well.
Lovely, Ava, thank you so much. That is lovely. Angie is out with our next look this morning.
Yes, and we're staying with prints here with Angie, and we've gone with a blue print dress here. Another great look with pockets as well. You can see there the elasticated waist. It's quite a thick waist to it, but if you wanted to break up this print, you could go with a thick belt with it as well, but I'd go kind of an oversized, really large belt where that elasticated waistline is. Again, a great length to this dress, pockets to it, and you can just see the fit and flair also to the dress at €50.
And comes in lots of, it's going to suit any sort of shape.
It is.
Right?
It's going to suit lots of different shapes because of the elasticated waistline to it, and it does come in a few different similar styles and different colourways as well, and prints.
And like this, obviously, you can wear wear it with runners, you can wear it throughout the years. You've gone with little booties.
Exactly, you could wear it with runners. We've gone with these ankle boots here, a little bit of a Western romance vibe to these ankle boots from the Casual Company, and they are in a taupe there, but they're going to go with jeans in your wardrobe, they're going to go with dresses, you're going to get so much wear out of them. Or with this dress, you could also go with the previous boots that we just saw if you want to get a little bit more coverage.
You totally can.
And a coat with this would look
Angie,
great.
thank you so much. That is lovely. Rob has promised us that we're going to want these boots, so he's bringing them back for his final look today. This is Hannah Becca. Oh no, I thought you were saying it's not. I'm wrong. I thought you were saying we're going to see boots again.
I was like, am I?
No, you're not. It's very different. There are no boots here.
Yeah, another great look here from the Casual Company at casualcompany.ie. It's a black jumpsuit. What I love about this is it's a versatile piece to get you through winter. It's quite a Western romance vibe because of that belt there, but you're going to be able to change it around completely.
I like that though. I think it goes really well with it.
Yeah, it does. It just brings that kind of Western romance that we're seeing so much of. I think even the boots from the previous outfit will go great with this look as well.
It would be a cool retro 80s look that you're seeing a lot with chunkier jeans and stuff in boots.
Yes, exactly. It'd work really well. But the belt is just emphasising the waistline there, but also you could bring a little bit of colour to this, go with a bow block bright, even a gold chain belt, I think could really dress it up for the party season, statement earrings, and you are ready to go. We've kept it quite simple this morning, just showing that you can wear this casual, and we have gone with the trainers with this look. But definitely, there's so much you can do with this.
Can
piece.
slap on a pair of heels. Leopard print coat.
Exactly.
Good to
Oversized blazer over the shoulders. It's ready to go, and they're all available from the Casual Company at casualcompany.ie.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Cheers so much. Rob Condon, lashed through that Western romance. You got me in the mood now. That's it. Thank you so much for that. Are we going to be talking about Westerns after the break in our film slot? I don't know. Brian Lloyd will tell us more very shortly on Ireland AM. Welcome back to Ireland AM for some movie time.
Yes, it is movie time with Brian Lloyd from entertainment.ie, and we're kicking off with an Irish-made animation, Brian.
Yes, My Father's Dragon, which is the new film from Cartoon Saloon down in Kilkenny. If you've seen any of the previous ones, you know how good they really do. Like, they really, and like, I saw, I think it was Little White Lies, was a movie magazine called them like one of the best, if not the best, animation studio in the world today. Absolutely deserved. This is another banger. Absolutely loved it. It's terrific.
Because look, every time you see a Cartoon Saloon film, you know it's look at it.
Yeah, no, it's so distinctive.
Style.
Yeah, it's so distinctive.
So what is My Father's Dragon about?
It is based on a children's storybook about this young boy who comes to a city called Nevergreen. Has an argument with his mother and he takes off into the city, arrives on the docks and he meets this talking cat and a talking whale. Who say that they can bring him to this island where he'll find a dragon. When he gets to the island, it turns out that the island is in a lot of danger and that the dragon who is meant to save the island doesn't actually want to do it. Now, all the voices are brilliant. Like,
sorry, climate change? Are we getting a bit climate change vibe?
Interestingly, this was written in like 1939, I think.
Oh, it's been adapted.
So it's been adapted.
So it was a bit of the rise of fascism, Nazism, and now we can see climate change in it. Okay,
exactly.
I gotcha.
And like, yes, it is relevant now to our time, but like, at the time when it was written, like, it was during, you know, the recession, or not the recession, the Great Depression. Yeah, the Great Depression and all that kind of stuff. Like,
so Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah. Is
it's just a name that jumped out and I went, Whoopi Goldberg.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the cast is really varied, because like you have Whoopi Goldberg plays the cat, Judy Greer, who people would know from loads of things, she plays the whale. Ian McShane is this ape. Chris O'Dowd.
Lovejoy.
Yeah,
Lovejoy.
Lovejoy.
Where did he get resurrected from?
He's one of the biggest actors in America now.
Is he?
Ian McShane.
In what?
He's been in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, he's in loads of stuff,
He was in
Deadwood, yeah, he's brilliant in Deadwood.
Okay.
But yeah, Chris O'Dowd is in it as well. Diane Wiest is in it. Like, it's a really varied cast.
What are you giving it out of 5?
I would give this 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. This is amazing for both adults and children. Sounds amazing. My Father's Dragon, directed by Nora Twomey as well. All the Oscar nominations there. We're going to move on to Watcher, not The Watcher.
Yes.
This is called Watcher. It is a film. Let's take a look at it.
Și tu?
You don't speak Romanian.
You don't like?
No, it's lovely. There's this guy that lives across the street, and he's always looking over here.
Looking over here how?
Every time I look over there, he's just staring right at me.
Oh, we've seen something like this many times. It's like Rear Window and all this type of thing.
Exactly, yeah, you've hit the nail on it there. It has that kind of like 90s glossy, sexy thriller sort of thing. Yeah,
Which
so
I love.
Which you love, yeah, exactly. And again, you'd love this as well. It's like about 90 minutes, 96 minutes. So it's
Yeah,
perfect.
love that.
That kind of thing.
So a couple move into this apartment in Bucharest.
Bucharest, yeah.
And they start seeing that this person is watching
He's
her.
watching her from the side. And it's kind of like Lost in Translation in the sense of like they're in a strange city. Micah Monroe, who you saw there, she's kind of a little bit isolated. Her husband is working all the time. She's kind of wandering into the city. And then she starts to see this man and she thinks that like he's following around the place and all the rest of it. And what the film does very well, I think, is that it kind of taps into that idea of female anxiety, you know, that sort of way. That it's like, no one believes me, but I feel like I'm being watched all the time. And it is good, but...
Is it tense?
It is tense, yeah. It's all about tension. It's all about atmosphere and all the rest of it. Like, the performances are very, very good. But again, it is, I think you've seen it done before.
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes a bit predictable. But again, it definitely
So there's
worth
no
a watch.
big twist at the end or anything like that?
No, not at all. That's the thing. Like, when we see, like, the
Right.
guy kind of turns up, it's like, yep, it's him.
Oh,
And
all
that's-
right, okay.
But it's, again, it's so kind of well done and, like, the performances are so good, you don't necessarily kind of care too much.
It looks slick.
It's slick.
What are we giving it out of 5?
3 out of 5.
3? Okay, that's actually
Yeah, it's
very
worth a
good.
watch, yeah.
Now let's move on to the premiere was here in Ireland
Yes.
recently. So this is The Wonder, based on Emma Donoghue's book. What is it about?
So it's set in the 1800s, like in 1862 in Ireland, in Midlands. Florence Pugh plays a nurse that's brought in from London to observe this young woman played by Keela Lord Cassidy, who she claims has not eaten inside of 4 months. The village elders, you know, Kieran Hines, Brian F. O'Byrne, Toby Jones, are all trying to kind of like think that, you know, they may have found like a miracle here and all the rest.
Give
of
us
it.
the sainthood. Come on,
Yeah,
Ryan.
exactly. And Florence Pugh is paired with a nun as well, and the two of them have to take 2 shifts every day to watch her and make sure that she's not taking food. I haven't read the book, but I know people have read the book that said that this is not one of Emma Donoghue's best kind of novels.
Yeah.
That it's a little bit, you know, and I would argue that the film is kind of the same as well, because I mean, and I'm not giving this away, but like, because it's literally in the opening seconds, but the film is bookended by it being on a set.
Yeah, Niamh Algar, who we had here last week.
Niamh
She's
Algar
like the
literally
narrator.
comes out and like is in her normal clothes and explains that, you know, this is a story and all the rest of it. Yeah, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah, it's
so taking you out of the film immediately.
Yeah, completely.
I don't think I'd like that now.
That's the thing. I wasn't really sure I'd like it either. Now, the whole point of the artistic kind of point of it is, I think, is to be, you know, we need stories and that, like, this is a story.
Yes.
This is not based on fact. This is based on a sort of an amalgamation of facts.
Okay.
Florence Pugh is brilliant in it. She's the best thing about it, but I would say that it can kind of be a little bit on the nose.
Gotcha. Out of 5?
3 out of 5.
Okay, Brian Lloyd,
all threes.
we love having you in. Thank you so much for that. Now, coming up on tomorrow's show, from fronting the stunning to becoming an actor. He's in loads of Netflix. Steve Wall is going to be in the house.
And author Caroline Grace Cassidy talks festive fiction and in fashion. Pink is the new black. Did you know that, Brian Lloyd? Apparently it is. Look at you.
Yeah.
You were nearly there
Right,
this
nearly
morning.
there.
Barbie Core, we're going to be talking about it when the Barbie
That's a
movie
thing.
comes out.
That's a thing.
I know.
Ireland AM is back from 7. See you then. You're nearly there.